So if you're following the series, you'll know that I am busy making the cylinder block from a single piece of cast iron rather than a casting. If you take a look at the LBSC drawings, you'll see that the underside of the cylinder is hollowed out, which is what you would expect with a casting. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've put it in the CNC and machined out the underside to look more or less like a casting. So this side shows the machining straight off the CNC. It's a little bit rough. I could have done it finer, but this is already 4.5 hours continuous machining in my very light duty, not very rigid CNC machine. I'm sure it would be about 20 minutes or even less probably in a professional CNC machine. But anyway, that's straight off the CNC, and doesn't take much to give it a file and a grind and a smoothing over. So I could do a lot more work on it, but it's not seen anyway, so I'm just going to leave it at that. The original engine has valves fitted to the front cylinder covers. As well as being used as cylinder drain cocks, I believe they were also used to add a tallow-based lubricant into the cylinders. I'm not 100% sure that's right. There is no provision either on the original engine or the LBSC model to have cylinder drain cocks fitted to the front and rear of the cylinder and operated from the footplate. I certainly would like to have cylinder drain cocks fitted to both the front and the rear of the cylinder. Therefore I've left 4 flat surfaces on the underside of the cylinder. The idea is that I will fit 4 steam operated cylinder drain cocks. I still have a little bit design work to do to complete those, and they will be the subject of a future video. As they are fitted to the underside of the cylinder, they won't be very visible and therefore should not detract too much from the appearance of the engine. So when you take a look at the photographs of the actual engine, you'll see that there's a cover plate or an inspection plate fitted to the front of the cylinder. There's also quite a few bolts and rivets shown, so we're going to look at adding those. So I've just knocked up a quick drawing to get some dimensions. So I've cut off a piece of shim stock. It's 0.4mm thick, it's 15 thou, and I've milled up a little backing plate to the final shape and dimensions. So I'll just glue that on there and use that block as a template and as a means of holding it in the milling machine. Okay, so this is a 1.2mm end mill. I'll just try and find the top of the workpiece. Just touch on with this paper. So that's going to be about 0.1 above. Move to the centre. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll put on a 0.1 cut and we'll try and mill a slot. We'll try another 0.1. So it's going to take about 4 cuts to get through. Oh, it looks like the cutter survived. Okay, so the next job is to separate the cover from the backing plate. So I'll put it on the hot plate and warm it up to break the bond. To make the little tang, I've turned a piece of bar. So this is 3mm diameter here. So I'm going to put 2 flats on it and then attempt to mill a 1.2mm slot. We'll see how we get on with that. Okay, we'll see if we can get a slot in here. So that's a 0.2mm cut. Well, we seem to be through. It'll fit into that slot just nice. So I'll just file a bit of a radius on there. I think that'll do. So I've spot drilled on the CNC the position for the various rivets and bolts. And I've also spot drilled the position for this little tang. So I'm going to go to the drilling machine and drill that 3mm, and then we can put this together and drill the 2 holes for the bottom. Now these 2 holes are a little bit bigger than I think I should have been, and they're quite near the edge there, so I'm hoping we can get away with that. We'll see. Don't really want to have to make it again. Okay, drilled. Now then, I seem to have lost the tang. Oh, there it is. Very small. Put a bit of Loctite on. That's it. Put that cover on. And I've got two little bolts I've made. So this could have been a bit longer, this cover, but I think I've got away with that. I think that's okay. So we need to make a little key for here. So I've got a bit of steel off an old wiper blade, which is 0.8mm thick. So I think I'll use this to make a key. This fitted into the length of the rubber part of the wiper blade, probably to give it some stiffness. See if that fits. I'm going to lose my little bolts here. Bit more. Bit more. Should do nicely. There it is. So this will all be glued together or Loctited on the final assembly. I think that looks okay. So I'll make some more bolts to go along the length here. So I think there's another 22 to make, and then up the sides we've got some rivets. Okay, I've Loctited this in place. I'll put some paint between the two surfaces just to protect it from any corrosion. I've Loctited this pin in. Got the rest of the bolts. So we'll Loctite those in. It's a high temperature Loctite. Oops. Gotta be careful. I've machined up some cylinder covers. When you go back and look at the photographs of the actual engine, there's like a bus with a tapping for a valve. So I've made a little pocket and I've made a little bus to fit in there. So I'm going to silver solder that in. And I'm just going to use some silver solder paste. Spread that around a bit. So we'll put a bit of heat on that and see how it goes.